Hi, I'm Stacy B, and we are here with a very talented actor and a friend of mine, Ken Bolden, who has agreed to sit with me and answer some of the questions that we're exploring about the fragmented life. So thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it very much. So how long have you been acting, and is that your primary art?
Yes, it's my primary art, and it's a hard question to ask in some ways because I started when I was in school, and so I don't know if that counts.
Of course it
Right
counts.
then, I started, I would say, third grade, at one of those
Okay.
it was the 60s, so they were doing all sorts of funky things with us. And I did theater all through school, all through college, and then when I graduated college, I decided to give this a chance, see where it would take me. And so I got my equity card not long after, and I've been pretty much working steadily as an actor since.
That's wonderful. There are a lot of actors who would give a lot
Really
for that. Have you had other part-time jobs over the years in order to make ends meet and be able to support yourself?
Yeah, I started out waiting tables, as
Okay.
people do, and I did that after college in Pittsburgh here. I did that for a few years here, then I moved to New York, and I had a waitering job there until the restaurant closed, and then a friend of mine was in temping, so she
Okay.
got me a job in her temping program. One of the first assignments I had at Lehman Brothers, they liked me, so they just would keep finding jobs for me. And finally, Lehman Brothers hired me as a part-time employee, even though it was full-time hours. And so I worked for them until that all went away. And then I moved back to Pittsburgh, and I've had a lot of different jobs. Right now, I teach a bit. And in the summers, when I don't have any teaching, I've just been kind of figuring it out. Last 2 summers I've been doing yard work and house painting.
Okay. So would you say a fragmented life is an appropriate description for the way you live? Okay. So what is it about acting that draws you to do it?
Boy, that's a hard question too. I find it spiritual work. When I went to college, I didn't go for theater. I was thinking of being either a priest or a doctor.
Okay.
I was in the pre-med program, and that did not really go anywhere. I think.
But have you played a doctor?
Yes,
That's the important question.
In commercials, I play doctors.
Okay.
I played one in a film. But I think theater is a form of spiritual medicine. So I think it.
Both as a participant and an attendee?
I think so. But I always, when I teach, we are spiritual doctors. That's what we do.
That's an awesome way of putting that, because I think a lot of people who go to the theater, and we were talking before we started filming that, one of the things that I hope to get out of this is that more people appreciate that there is a bigger cost than just what they pay for the ticket to go see something in a theater. The work that goes into it, and the amazing collaboration that is required, because it's the playwright, it's the director, it's the actors, the lighting designer, the set designer, the stage manager, the list goes on and on.
And I teach intro at Pitt, and that's largely non-majors taking a gen ed class.
Okay.
And they're always consistently amazed at how much work goes into preparing a role. They think it's just memorizing the lines and spitting
Right.
out.
Right.
That's just the tip.
Absolutely. Okay, so how often would you say, since it's now in the summer, and like you said, you have to fill in the gaps where you can, how often do you go from doing one job to another in the same day?
It kind of depends. There are some days, like some days this summer, where I've had to do a little yard work and then go do an audition and then maybe have rehearsal. And it depends on the demands of the play. Like this play I'm doing right now is pretty demanding, so I've cut way back on the yard work just because I need my days to study my script and do other things. So it kind of depends.
Okay, so how would you say living this life, which you've obviously been doing for a while now, what impact, if any, have you noticed that it has on the way you live your life?
I would say, since I have to have, and many of my friends do, have to have multiple small jobs, I don't get a day off. There's no such thing as a weekend or a Monday when we're dark in theater. My Mondays aren't dark because I have to go do something else to bring in money.
Right.
So I haven't had a vacation in decades because if I have a little money, I have no time. And if I have time, I have no money. So I don't have a lot of the things that most people assume they're going to have at my age. A house, a relationship. Because I don't have time. I don't have time to have social life.
I think that's not uncommon.
No, it's not.
And it seems to, I mean, because I know that I was really delighted and thrilled that you agreed to do this.
And
because
I was biking over and I'm thinking, God, I wish this were at 10 at night when I really did have the time to do this.
Right. No, and I
It's
really,
like,
really appreciate it because I knew you'd bring something to this and be able to share, in sharing your life with people. I hope that other artists realize that they're not alone because so many times, I mean, theater is kind of an exception in some ways, but as a writer, I have to work in isolation. You know, if you're a musician, you're rehearsing, you know, and you practicing your lines, memorizing them, developing the character, you do that in isolation. You may bring it to a group, but there's still work in isolation that needs to be done. And so,
I don't think people realize how much, it's the same with teaching.
right.
People don't realize how much homework there is before and after a class. And it's the same with acting. There's a lot of homework.
A lot, and a lot of times that's not paid. When you can find a theater project that does pay you, if it's equity, there's a minimum involved. Do you ever get paid over the minimum? I've always wondered that. Do theaters do that often?
If you're a star,
Okay.
or if you have, like, there are some actors in town who retain their New York agents,
Okay.
and they will be famous.
Okay.
But they will negotiate a higher rate.
Okay. Okay. So that's a little off topic, but that fulfills my curiosity. So how does your family view your life as an artist?
They're very proud of me. They've always been really supportive. Really
That's
supportive.
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And I'm guessing, here I go with leading again, where it's just saying that I had a friend of mine who has a PhD in anthropology look over the questions, and I didn't realize how many leading ones I had written.
I don't know if I would know the difference anyway, so.
Well, she did. That's why she has a PhD in anthropology and I don't. Do you find you live and work in extremes? Which you actually already kind of answered by talking about the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend of mine who always says, you know, actors are used to financial instability. He says, you read the papers and how panicked people are about the economy. I was like, well, that's our lives. So you kind of get used to that. But the older you get, or the older I get, I just think, oh my God, how much longer can I do the artwork?
Right.
Because it's hard. It's really physically hard. And it's like, I'm going to be 60 soon. I don't know if I can do this much longer.
Right.
And then what am I going to do to make money? Because I've already bumped into the ageism. You know, when I was looking for jobs before this, I would walk into a place and I could see them just laugh at me. It's like, we're not going to hire some guy my age.
Well, that brings up another interesting point, which is rejection, which is something that if you're an artist, you deal with all the time.
Yeah, and that's I think it's a different kind of rejection. And you can, because you know there's going to be another audition, and I'm very fortunate in that I have a certain reputation here, I think.
You do.
So, but in terms of the work world, nobody knows me. All I see is some, you know, late middle-aged guy coming in, and I don't know what's going through their heads, but I can assume they're thinking, oh, he's going to want too much money for his age, or I don't know, he's too old. And in a lot of respects, I am, because the whole computer thing has way passed me by.
Right.
I am not a computer person.
In terms of doing any kind of office job or something that wouldn't be yard work, that would be able to add to the income.
Because even when I was working at Lehman Brothers, they knew better than to give me a computer job. So all the stuff I did was all the physical stuff. I was in charge of somebody's actual file and getting their actual papers and doing the real thing. I would be lugging boxes. I would be doing all sorts of paperwork. But the computer stuff?
No, and it's definitely a consideration because, and even now, we were talking earlier about there are a lot of people who seem to be moving into this way of living in terms of having a few part-time jobs or whatever. I say thank you Walmart because they're the ones that started hiring people and scheduling them for 35 hours a week, so technically they weren't eligible for benefits.
Well, one of my day jobs is for a major retail chain, which shall remain nameless.
Okay. That's so kind of you. I just blurted it right out. I'm okay with that.
I still work there, so I don't want to be fired. But yeah, they keep you under 25
Right,
hours.
right.
You know, and that's the way.
So
and
do
it's
you?
The same in, it's the same in many of our higher education places.
Who shall remain nameless?
Yeah.
But it's Pittsburgh, so you can figure that out on your own. Just use the
Don't
Google.
try too hard. 'Cause I need that job.
So, what do you do about health insurance?
Luckily, I work enough as an actor to get.
Oh, so you have it through equity.
Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not that
And I have
in
to
that
say,
position.
if I did not have that, I could not afford Obamacare. I don't know how people do that.
Because I looked into it, and it was $300 a month, and I thought
I know.
I don't have that to.
There's no way I
Right.
can afford that.
Right,
No way. Even when I'm working at the public, which pays the best in town,
right.
I could not afford that. So I.
Well, it's one of the it's one of the fragments that you have to deal with when you're living this way. All right, we're gonna end part 1 here and come back and do part 2. And I hope you've enjoyed the conversation that I'm having with Ken and look forward to talking to you in part 2.